Okay, hello. In today's CATIA V6 or 3D Experience tutorial, I'm going to be going over making this part. Looks like some kind of molded part. It has a lot of features where we could use a lot of the tools in the part design module in 3D Experience. So first you go onto the platform and you open part design. I have it here. You might have to scroll down. But once you open it up, I already have it opened here. You rename it to whatever you would like. Might have to rename that myself later, but let's get started. We do have some tutorial slides to match this from our OcMee team. I'm gonna follow it for the most part, but for time's sakes, I might not in some other parts. Okay, okay, so to begin, we have our reference elements over here. These are some key geometries that we'll follow. I'm gonna put it into a geometrical set right there. Properties, rename it into reference elements. Okay, cool. And this, I have it underlined right. That's defined in work object. And I'm just going to point out it should really be, I always get confused by this naming. It should be define the in work object. So the in work object is just one noun, right? So instead of define in work object, it's define the in work object, if that makes sense. Okay, anyways, so the highlights don't matter. It's the underline that matters. That's like the folder that you'll be working in. Okay, let's get those points in. We're not going to do a position sketch just yet. Going to do points based on these coordinate points right here, and then do 85, 60. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste it 3 times, get 4 points. And I could change up the signs and just do that for the rest of these. Both negative, okay. We have the points over here. Next step is to make lines off of these points. 100 millimeters long, okay. And do the same thing, create a line, which could be point direction. This should work. Direction normal to that plane. Point starts here, 100 millimeters. You could do the same thing, copy and paste them 3 times. I'm just going to redefine the starting points to be the other points. Okay, perfect. I'm going to create the web sketch plane and the component planes as reference planes. I'll keep it in the reference elements planes, just like before. Let's see. It says off the XY plane, 20 millimeters positive Y. So we can see it's XY plane from compass here. That plane right there. Offset positive Y. That should be good. Let's name it. Let's says web sketch plane properties. Let's rename it. Okay, and the different one should be component height 80, the XY. There you go, 80 millimeters. Let's call it the properties. There you go. Let's call it the part height plane. Okay, define the part body. Okay, define this to be the inward object. And let's create the sketch profile. So I'm just going to go over and create position sketch. Let's see, XY plane, orient with the X direction. So our XY plane is right here, highlighted. And it wants our orientation to be in the X direction. So the horizontal to be in the X. I'll click the position sketch down there. Okay, it's already aligned with our X direction. I'm going to use the profile tool to create just a rough closed contour. I don't care about dimensions right now, just the overall shape of it. Okay, cool. Now I'll use Control to select multiple elements and add my constraints. And it wants us to have these two lines be symmetrical with respect to the y-axis here. I'm going to do it a little bit differently by just adding a construction line that bisects this point. And you know it's bisects it because it's a hollow symbol anywhere else. And right when you get to the middle, it's a solid dot. I'm going to select this again and make it a construction element and just make it vertical. That should already define it. So everything is ISO constrained. We can check in our analysis. Says ISO constrained, which means it's not under or it's not over defined, which is good. We exit. From here, we'll make a pad right here. We'll select that sketch. The pad feature absorbs the sketch as a child now. And we'll go up to the plane where we made before. And then we'll create another sketch. Right? Roughly get it into that position. And create a sketch on this plane right here. I'm going to switch these around so it's actually, H is actually horizontal. And now I could do the project 3D elements, press OK. It'll turn yellow to indicate a projected element, and I'll use the profile for the rest of the rectangle. Now this is dangling off, I just press escape. And the constraint is that this is 100. You could say no here. And again, create another pad of, let's see, how long? 25 millimeters. Okay, cool. And just to follow this, I'm going to be reordering it. And it's a good chance to show you where you could reorder the children. I'm going to get these reference elements folder and just put it above, just so I'm more in line with the tutorial slides. Now there's, again, several ways to do this. We're on the next set now. We're going to create this, this little sloped feature. Okay, we have a web sketch plane, part origin, orient in the X direction. Let's create a sketch here. They reverse the H over there, but I don't think it really matters. We can use the two faces and create a intersect 3D elements feature. It's in the dropdown right here, intersect 3D elements. And once you select these, and this should already intersect it with your sketch plane and create that, those two lines. From here, I'll make it normal. Right, I just click this to make it normal to the sketch face. I'll add a line and trim off the rest because I know that's not going to fully cover it. And add in my dimensions. Let's see, it's 30 by 80. 30. Let's get that point here. By 80. And it wants you to pad 15 and 30 in the positive and negative direction respectively. Okay. So 15 in the positive and 30 on the other side. Let's see if I did that right. I double clicked. Yeah. Yeah, switched it around because now you can see that 15 is in the positive y direction, 30 is in the negative. I believe that's what it said. Yeah. So I'll switch it around, correct it. Now create a reference plane offset by 50 millimeters in the negative y direction. Right. So we come back to our reference elements, define that as the in-work object. Create another plane that offsets the web sketch plane by 50 in the opposite direction. Right, so we could have done that in the first place. The steps are created this way just so you could play around with the features and get familiar with it. So it wants you to modify the original 30 millimeter value to hit this new reference plane. So I'll go back to this pad, and instead of doing dimension, I'll do up to plane of right there. And now you can see it's pretty much centered. And now we create a position sketch on the component height plane, orient in the X direction. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Right. In the direction, we have the plane. And keep in mind, you don't want to click the surface. It's always better to reference your sketches off of your planes rather than the surface, because the surfaces are prone to change. Planes are more, more robust and more likely to stay as a plane. So we'll go back to our main body. You see how that's underlined now? Create a sketch. And I'm going to just make a point-to-point rectangle. It seems to be smaller than the dots here. So I'll just roughly just get it into position of a circle that bisects it. Seems like I trim off here and here. Yes, you can confirm this. It'll adjust accordingly. I'll put in my dimensions, 30 on that side, 30, 15, 12. 30, 15, 12. Again, that radius is 25. Everything is ISO constrained. You can tell from the color coding. You could exit here and now create a pocket that says 20 millimeters deep. Cool. It says create a reference point at the center, right? So I could go back to the reference elements, create a point, and I have a different option to do it on the center of a formed circle. Just okay, and you see that point right there. It says create a position sketch with that point that we just made as the origin. Right. And I know I said don't do your sketches on the surface, but we'll just do it for now because it does work. So we click this. I almost made a mistake. Define in-work object to be your main body again. And actually, before I do that, I should exit. And without clicking anything, I'll click this first and have a projection point to be my origin, right? We'll click that reference point that we just made and project it onto this face, right? And just for the sake of following the tutorial slides, I'll switch out around the axis. Seems like it's 35 away with the same radius. So there's multiple ways I could do this, but I'll sort of do it the more manual way. Make this point coincident to that point. Constraint, coincidence, same thing here. Constraint, coincidence. This was 35 away, with this being the same 25. Cool, everything is ISO constrained once again, and we could create a pad off of this. 10 millimeters. Seems like there's an error. Let me see what it was. Oh, it's sometimes you gotta look at it from a different angle. So we just switch around the direction. The error was saying that it was detecting that there would be no difference in the part if you extrude it into the part, which is true. And now we could actually see the difference because we switched the direction. Okay. Okay, now it says create a reference plane parallel to YZ plane and passing through the point shown. We can do that. We'll go back into our reference elements to find in-work object. I'll change the perspective so it matches better. So reference offset from plane, nope. I guess, yeah, we could do reference of this plane offset to this point. position sketch on the plane with the origin as the point and the orientation in the y direction. All right, we could do that. Again, before I should go back and deselect everything. If I want to make that my origin, then I should do projection point onto that point and then select the plane. And it wants me to use the already existing features to make this bolt head. So I could really project this onto the plane. It should work. As well as this point. Right, so it creates that line. I'll make myself normal to that sketch and create this profile. Now there is a chamfer tool, and I guess I'll show you that way, but it doesn't really define the dimensions too well. So actually I'll just create a different kind of profile. I'll manually create like a little chamfer here myself. And you could also do it after modeling this part. You could do it in the actual 3D body instead of the sketch, but again, we'll follow this for now. So it's 34 and 25. This was 15. And 18 from tip to tip here. You can see that this is sort of zoom in, but it's not defined too well. There you go. And 3. Everything is ISO constrained, but we do have to trim some pieces over here. Now it's not giving me a signal that it's a closed contour, so I might have to edit this a bit later. Or maybe I could try it right now. Right, so I could probably just add line here. There you go. Now it's closed contours. See, once that's shaded, because if it's not shaded, that means it's not detecting a closed contour. I'll actually show you what you could do in that case. So I deleted one of the sides just on purpose. And once I exit and I try to pat this or shaft, see it's or sorry, it's not. Oh, there you go. My sketch wasn't defined in the right place. I can most likely just drag this down here because there's no dependencies on the sketch, whether below or above it. So it should be fine. Now I'm back in this main body. Even if I try to create, let's say like a pad, it's an invalid profile. Only thing that would be possible is a thin feature, which we don't want. So I'll exit that, and I could go to inside the sketch actually, analysis, sketch analysis, and you can see I have a open profile here, and it'll show you exactly where. So we can see that face is open. So okay, I'll add in that line again, and then go back. This time ensure I'm actually in this space right now, and do a shaft. So profile would be the sketch, but the axis it auto-selected, but it did it incorrectly. So I did clear selection. Now select this axis. There you go. That should be the right one. All right, let's go back. I'm not going to do the materials right now. I'll go to the next feature. All right, we have a 6-sided polygon. Let's say position sketch on the top face of the shaft, orient with the y-axis. So we could do that right now. Go back into this. So Okay, we could do a position sketch. Projection point of this point as the origin. It wouldn't really matter too much, but since we have that point there, why not? And I accidentally moved this, rotate, make it normal view. I'll zoom in a little, and once I go in here, there's a polygon option. So I select the center first, and I select anywhere else. I'll go into one of this and make it vertical, and then have this be coincident with the outer edge of the circle. Everything is ISO constrained. Now I could exit and create a pocket. You can see that it's trying to create a pocket on the inside, but I want everything else. So it says pocket is done on the outside profile if I click this button. And then I could go up to the plane of this surface. I could click preview and you can see it makes that change. I press OK. And there you go.